next guy, be ready to roll. Be ready to roll so we don't get that gap.
15 state championships, tied for the most in state history. The standard of excellence in Southeast Missouri football runs through St. Genevieve and the Valle Catholic Warriors. But last year's 30-27 victory over Lincoln in the Class 1 state title game was unique. Whether it's because the Warriors were coming off their first season without a district championship since 2007, because they had lost in the state title game in 2017, because they hadn't won a state championship since 2015, or because they dealt with significant injuries throughout the season. Any way you slice it, it meant just a little more for Valle Catholic to reach the mountaintop once again last season. And that certainly isn't lost on longtime Warriors head coach Judd Naeger.
Oh, there were so many things that were kind of neat about the season that it's, really kind of hard to get into all of them, but it was just a really special season for all of our seniors and all of our fans and everybody that enjoys our football program.
Naeger is entering his 17th season as the head coach of Valle Catholic football. He's helped lead the team to 6 state championships and over 150 wins. But even after having accomplished so much in his tenure with the Warriors, Naeger says he still loves being around the team and the challenges that each new year brings.
Oh, every year's kind of new. Every year's fresh. You got a whole new group of kids, and I've been blessed the last few years to be able to coach some of my friends' kids, and that's just going to continue more and more here as the years to come. And we've got a great staff, and it's a group of guys who enjoy spending time together. Every group takes on its own little identity and its own little personality, and in the beginning, you don't ever know where it's going to go. You kind of look back at your where you were at state, and then you go back to watch the first few games again as you're getting prepared, for the next season, and you're just kind of watching it. Man, we weren't very good, and then, you kind of see where the product is there at the end, and it just has a lot to do with, with our kids' hard work and having such a great staff.
Valle graduated a talented senior class from last year's state champion, including standout quarterback Chase Dunlap. However, Warriors fans know that the quarterback position will be in good hands going forward with the return of sophomore Chase Fallert. Dunlap suffered a knee injury midway through last season, and as a freshman, Fallert stepped into the starting quarterback role and led the team to 4 straight wins while throwing for over 900 yards and 16 touchdowns, in addition to 350 yards and 5 touchdowns on the ground. Naeger has had some talented quarterbacks over the years, and he has high praise for the team's newest leader under center.
It was amazing, to watch him play and to watch him, lead our football team as a, 14-year-old kid. He's just one of those players that has it, whatever it is, he's got it. I think he was one of the best football players on the field every game he played at 14 years old, and now he's 15 and he's 150 pounds and bigger, stronger, faster. He's got a year under his belt, so I think he's going to be an outstanding football player who brings an X factor that you can't really prepare for. There's not any way that you can kind of recreate what he's able to do.
Fallert says getting a chance to start several varsity games last year provided valuable experience as he transitions to being the full-time starter this year.
It'll be easier to read defenses, have that experience out there with bigger dudes. Just playing alongside the varsity from last year, going over to this year, it'll be a lot better and a lot easier for me to contribute. I think I'll just do whatever my team needs me to do, whatever helps us to win games, find the open receiver, open holes when I'm running.
A young quarterback will be aided by the return of several talented skill players from last year's state championship team. One of those key players will be senior wide receiver Jayden Gegg, who accounted for over 500 yards of offense and 11 touchdowns last year. He says he has confidence in Fallert and the team's ability to once again have a high-powered offense.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable with him. I think his arm got a lot stronger this offseason. I think it'll pay off a lot for him, and I think we'll be pretty explosive on offense. I think he'll have a lot more confidence this year, and that'll be really big for him. He came in a tough situation last year against Crowlersville and brought us back in the game. He seemed like he was really comfortable. With more confidence this year, I think he'll be even better.
Another big weapon returning for Valle's offense and special teams will be senior kicker Colton Naeger, who drilled the game-winning field goal in the state championship game last season and has been the starting kicker for the Warriors since he was a freshman. He says by now, kicking is like second nature.
I'm just kind of used to it now, but over the years I've been really nervous. And in the state championship, whenever that field goal came, I was just at the moment, I didn't even think about it, and I just kicked it. So it's pretty cool because I get about 6-7 points a game half the time, and that's just as much as a touchdown.
The Warriors have always been known as a punishing group on the defensive side of the ball, and they come off a season in which they allowed just under 12 points per game. Senior linebacker Austin Burnett says they stay so consistent on that side of the ball because they hold each other accountable.
You know, the biggest thing on our defensive side is do your job first. Make sure you do your job. If all 11 guys on that side of the field and they're doing their job, then it makes the other side of the field a lot tougher to get their job done.
With the departure of several key contributors on both the offensive and defensive line, Valley will rely heavily up front on the leadership of senior Joe Williams. He says even during a bizarre offseason, the team found a way to get better.
I feel like we've put in a lot of hard work this offseason, and I think we're looking pretty good. So still got some things to work on, but I think we're looking pretty good. So.
There will be plenty of change with the 2020 football season, but perhaps most notably for Valle Catholic will be the change of classification. Misha has delayed the classification announcement to mid-September, but the assumption is that the Warriors will join the likes of Central and Kennett in Class 3 District 1. Naeger questions the decision to skip right over Class 2 and jump right to Class 3, but regardless, he says the team's approach won't change.
Oh, we're going to, continue to do the things that we've always done. And, we feel like, in this, 12 or 13 year run here that, we've had teams that could, compete in, multiple classes. And, we feel like we have a good squad this year. And, we're going to do what they tell us to do and, roll the ball out there and play.
The Valle Catholic players are certainly excited for the challenge of facing some bigger schools. Senior safety Corey Stoll says they're prepared to show the state that they can play with anybody.
I see it more as a challenge. Misha didn't, like where we were, so they've moved us up. I look at that as, can you guys compete with these bigger schools? My answer to you is yes, and we are going to, as hard as we fight, no matter losing by 20, winning by 40, it don't matter. We're going to fight until the whistle sounds.
While the outside expectations are always sky high for the Valle Catholic football team, Naeger says internally the focus remains the same.
Oh, it's the same every year, and it boils down to any sport or, any business, anything, it's relationships and, were they able to build some that are going to, last them their lifetime, whether it's, with their friends or with their coaches or, with their God. And, those are things that we always talk about. And, we've had years where, maybe, we didn't win as many games as we wanted to, and maybe we didn't walk off the field last game of the year with a win, but when we get invited to a wedding or when we see somebody outside of football and they seem genuinely happy to see us and spend some time with us, or when we see wedding photos where everybody in the wedding party played on the same team, or those are type things that you can kind of look back on and say, man, those some of those days weren't fun and some of those days were hot and some of those days were nasty, but in the end, I think all of them are kind of worth it.
The Valle Catholic Warriors kick off the 2020 football season on August 28th at home when they host the Skyline Tigers.